So, Rachel Zegler is once again hit with a brutal reality check. Yes, Disney's Snow White remake just belly flopped at the box office. No surprise, but y'all know it's going to happen. But not only did it bomb, it did worse than the low expectations everyone already had for it. Now, this isn't just a rough start. You see, this is just a full-on box office disaster. And at that popplace.com, they summed it up perfectly. The final numbers are out, and they're actually worse than the whole bad estimates that were just floating around last week. Okay, you see, Snow White is supposed to be the crown jewel of the Disney princess lineup, as you all may know. But even woke Disney couldn't spin this one into a win. You see, people tuned out, and there was a bunch of empty theaters, and Rachel Zegler herself sure didn't help the situation itself. Now, the combination of Rachel Zegler and her attitude, the changes to the whole Snow White issue, and the entire woke Disney approach is why this thing flopped so hard. So basically, here's what we're looking at. Domestically, Snow White made about, $42.2 million on this opening weekend. That's not a typo right there. You didn't hear that, incorrectly. 42, not 100, not 80, just 42. For a big budget woke Disney princess movie, that's a total embarrassment. Now, Rachel Zegler, who led the press campaign, made headlines for all the wrong reasons, and now her name is tied to just basically one of the biggest Snow White disasters in Disney history. Now, worldwide, it squeaked out about $85.3 million, and with a budget reportedly between $250 and $270 million, not including marketing, Walt Disney is now starting or staring down one of its worst returns. You see, the insane cope from the media shows right now is almost more entertaining than the movie itself. And Rachel Zegler and her name is going to follow this particular fiasco for a long time, and so will Snow White's reputation as a cautionary tale. Now, this isn't just, a failure, this is woke Disney reaping what it's been sowing for years, for the past 3 years. But to put that into perspective, I mean, even the Marvels, which, everyone agrees was a flop, actually managed to go ahead and open with, $46 million domestically. But this particular Snow White movie starring Rachel Zegler couldn't even beat the Marvels. I mean, y'all also remember when Dumbo back in 2019, that one opened up to $45 million and was considered a failure. Now, this thing couldn't even, clear that particular bar. And Rachel Zegler, who should have brought some energy and excitement to the project, only brought controversy by not keeping her mouth shut. Now, between her constant criticisms of the original Snow White and her basically tone-deaf interviews, she became the face of woke Disney's biggest misstep yet. And there's no separating, Rachel Zegler from this big crash. She's front and center of it, just like woke Disney wanted, okay? And you know what? Just like audiences rejected, okay? And that's pretty much saying a lot right now. But keep in mind, you see, Disney just has spent, somewhere between $250 million and $270 million on this movie, and that's before they even started marketing it. So when you rake in $42 million on an opening weekend, you're not just underwhelming, you're definitely drowning. Now, it's not just a slow start, it's a financial bloodbath, and no amount of woke Disney spend is going to go ahead and save Snow White from that particular label. And speaking of spin, now we've all should have seen this coming with the media trying to go ahead and just basically sugarcoat this Snow White disaster. Places like Deadline and Variety were just simply trying their best to go ahead and put a happy face on it, calling it the fairest of them all for topping the charts that weekend. But big whoop. I mean, being number one during a dead weekend doesn't mean a thing when your numbers are this bad. You see, some even try to go ahead and compare it to upcoming movies past movies like Mufasa the Lion King, as if that's gonna go ahead and distract anybody, and didn't even work. The insane cope was real, and like watching the meltdown in real time, and not the popcorn kind, okay? But I mean, look, you don't have to be a genius to figure out why this movie bombed. You see, woke Disney has been leaning hard into this modern reimagining strategy, and people are growing tired of it. You see, fans don't want reboots that trash the original. They simply want stories that respect what made the originals great in the first place. But instead, what we got was Snow White loaded with controversy, bizarre creative decisions, and Rachel Zegler, who spent more time trashing the old film than promoting the new one. Okay. And I'm pretty sure this is what woke Disney wanted her to do. And don't even get me started on Rachel Zegler herself. You see, Rachel Zegler has been insufferable ever since day one, from mocking the original Snow White to basically making it everything about politics and gender roles and ideology. And she managed to go ahead and just alienate the very audience that woke Disney was counting on. You see, and then there's also the whole controversy with the dwarfs and stuff, last minute reshoots, dwarven protests as well, and marketing that was more about damage control than excitement. I mean, that's a nightmare combo if I've ever seen one. But what's even, more telling is that this particular flop can't be blamed on politics alone. I mean, not really, but according to the data, Snow White did about the same in red states as it did in blue states. So, I mean, it's not like only one side of the aisle was turned off. Everyone, left, right, center, they all smell the same thing, that this was a bad movie from woke Disney starring Rachel Zegler, who made it, painfully clear that she had no love for the role or the fans. Now, this whole mess is definitely a symptom of, a bigger problem at woke Disney. They keep throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at these modernized remakes and stuff, thinking brand nostalgia will actually carry them across the finish line. But people aren't having it anymore. They're not falling for it anymore. They see right through the slick marketing, and they're not buying tickets just because something has Snow White logo slapped on it. Okay, they tried that with Star Wars. They tried it with a lot of Marvel projects, and they became flops too. And honestly, can you actually blame people, the fans like me and you, for tuning out? The trailer had one of the worst like to dislike ratios we've seen in a long time, and that's not just a few internet trolls. That's a sign that average moviegoers are fed up. Now, you'd think that woke Disney would take a step back and reassess, but nope, they just keep doubling down on the same playbook that's been failing them for years now, constantly doing the same thing over and over again until you get a different result. And that right there is the basic definition of insanity, especially with this content. Speaking of content, they took a beloved fairy tale and replaced timeless themes with clunky woke messaging and awkward character changes. No prince, no someday my prince will come, just a bandit love interest and a lot of awkward cringe scenes that basically felt more like lectures than a fairy tale. And you could just tell that this wasn't made with love for Snow White. It was made to go ahead and check boxes for woke Disney executives, okay? And they had Rachel Zegler at the forefront of it all. But then there's also the dwarves, or rather, the not dwarves, where Disney ditched the traditional 7 dwarves and went with a weird mix of basically weird CGI as well as additional random characters of different sizes and backgrounds. It's not about representation to them. It's about removing the charm and magic that made Snow White work in the first place. They sanitized the story itself and so much that they forgot why people loved it to begin with, okay? And another thing to consider is that you just can't ignore the irony here. Now, for all the talk about diversity, inclusion, woke Disney ended up pleasing nobody. They tried to please everybody, but they didn't please anybody. The hardcore fans felt insulted, the general audience was confused, and the people who normally cheer for, these modern updates, I mean, they weren't even interested, okay? Now, when your movie flops this hard, it means you didn't connect with anyone, period, okay? This whole situation should be a wake-up call for woke Disney. I mean, you can't buy loyalty, and you can't, fake magic. You see, audiences want to be entertained. I keep saying that like a broken record, and they don't want to be lectured. They want stories that make them feel something, not stories that feel like, corporate focus group experiments and stuff. And the sooner that Rachel Zegler fades from the spotlight itself, I mean, the better that Disney might be. But better off Disney might be. So, yeah. Exactly where does this leave Snow White? I mean, it's officially joined the ranks of woke Disney's most expensive flops. It's up there with John Carter, The Lone Ranger, and Strange World, and it might even outdo those once all the losses are tallied. And there's no spinning this. It's bad, and Rachel Zegler gets destroyed by public reaction. Okay, now this is not backlash at all. You see, this is a full-on fan rebellion, and it actually explodes every time they push for another soulless remake, okay? But I'll say this, though. I hope someone over at, Disney, or as I call it, woke Disney, is taking notes, because if this is the direction that they keep heading, the audience will keep tuning out. They already lost their DEI money. People are hungry for quality again. Quality content, that is. But they want fun, they want heart, and they want authenticity. Not Rachel Zegler speeches, not Snow White reboots with, no soul, and definitely not more box office meltdowns from woke Disney. Okay, so let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button in the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.